Picture this. You're settling down in your sun lounger and open up your new book. A chapter in and it's just not grabbing your attention. What do? Personally, if I begin a book and just don't engage with it straight away, I find I have little motivation and interest to persist with it. I'll likely give up and start a new one. But we will regularly place a new book in front of the children in our class which may or may not interest them, and then expect them to read the whole thing, analyse the text and answer a variety of questions about it in a given time. So how do you make sure your reading comprehension lessons are as engaging as they can be? Hi everyone, I'm Natalie from MyProgression, and this is video 1 of 2 on how to teach, support and prepare our children to become skilled at reading comprehension. This video will take you through the importance of teaching reading comprehension and strategies on how to teach this. The next video will go through how to structure the lesson and include practical examples and engaging comprehension games. We know that there's a great deal of importance put upon reading, and quite rightly so, as reading allows children to fully access the curriculum. An education blogger wrote, "Reading is the gateway to learning. It's the key to pupils' future academic achievement and well-being. Pupils who struggle to read words accurately quickly fall behind their peers. They read less and do not accumulate the necessary background knowledge and vocabulary from reading." To fulfil the demands of the secondary school curriculum, pupils need to be able to read age-appropriate texts fluently. Pupils who cannot read well are not able to access the curriculum and are disadvantaged for life. It is therefore essential that reading is a priority to prevent pupils from falling behind with their education. So we as educators need to be fully invested in and able to teach reading, as well as ensure that there is a depth of understanding of what is being read. At the end of Key Stage 2 in schools in England, children are tested in the form of SATs in maths and English, with the English papers being broken down into spelling, grammar and punctuation, and reading. Writing is assessed by the school and may be moderated too. In reading, we place an unseen text in front of the children and expect them to read the text, understand the author's main ideas and connect with the text, as readers be able to decode unfamiliar words and make sense of them in the context they're written in, answer a variety of questions in writing using a range of skills to prove that the text is understood. It's reported by some student teachers that they have little guidance on how to teach comprehension skills and that experience is limited. Observing good practice and thinking carefully about what will support your students is essential. We must not assume that because a pupil is a fluent reader, that their understanding is at the same level. Poor grasp and understanding of text happens when you're anxious or when the text you're reading is complex and unfamiliar. Other reasons are difficulties recognising and decoding words, limited vocabulary, and low interest or motivation. Reading comprehension is the ability to process the written words and understand its meaning. This skill is very much a part of school life, as children are exposed to written texts continually and have to make meaning of them. We've looked at reading for pleasure, through telling stories to promote a love of books and encourage children to read. But how can we teach comprehension? Can we expect a child to read an age-appropriate text and then answer questions relating to the text without any support? How do we approach this as part of the curriculum? So this video will give you some tips, help and assistance in setting up your children to succeed in reading comprehension. How to teach reading comprehension. Reading comprehension forms the foundation of academic accomplishments. As learners progress, they encounter increasingly challenging texts and concepts. Strengthened comprehension skills enable them to grasp complex content from books, articles, and academic materials, equipping them for future studies. We teach comprehension with the aim to produce independent readers who have the ability and resilience to make sense of a wide range of texts and genres. At home and in the early years of school, children are introduced to picture books and texts are spoken about in story time. The illustrations give clues and support understanding of the vocabulary. Do you know what this animal is at Farmer Harriot's Zoo? It's a llama. Have you seen a llama before? Oh, look at its neck. It's quite long, isn't it? other animals at the farm have long necks? This conversation, an introduction to new vocabulary, along with visual prompts, is the very beginning of comprehension, and so important as a basis to the understanding of a text. When children start school, they're introduced to phonics and word building, which will then support reading and word decoding, as well as spelling and writing. We encourage children to read and talk about the story, recall their favourite stories, and ask questions about the book being read, as well as be able to answer questions too. Comprehension teaching is required through SAT at Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. Once the children are beginning to read, so assessing their understanding begins. Text level at Key Stage 2 is challenging, so in the lead up to this, teaching needs to be effective. How do we do this? Some of the text in the test would not be what children would choose to read, so it's essential that we use a variety of genres, fiction, non-fiction and poetry in our everyday teaching. If you haven't had experience of Year 6 reading, have a look at a reading paper as they're all available online. Why not download the paper and give yourself an hour, timed, and see how you cope? I reckon that many of us will be challenged by the time limitation. As teachers, we need to give students ample opportunity to consolidate their learning through small group and individual reading activities. VIPERS is an acronym used commonly in primary schools to remind the children about the reading skills needed for reading comprehension. A display in your classroom can act as a prompt to support the pupils. VIPERS stands for vocabulary, the language used; inference, the meaning behind the text; prediction, what might happen next; explanation, the children should share their thoughts and opinions on the text; retrieval, finding and recording information from the text; sequence or summarise, recap the events of the narrative. There are many different strategies you can implement to your comprehension lesson, but many practitioners agree about a core set of 7 strategies. Number 1, activating background knowledge to make connections between new and known information. In many classrooms, this instruction is divided into 3 categories of connection: text to self, text to text, and text to world. This means the reader must learn to relate the text to their own lives first. Think about the emotions a character might be feeling and when they have felt those, for example. Then think about how it compares to other texts, and finally how it relates to the world around them. Number 2, questioning the text. Proficient readers are always asking questions while they read. Sticky notes or post-its have become standard practice in classrooms, in part because they're such a useful tool for teaching students to stop, mark text, and note questions as they read. Number 3, drawing inferences. Strong readers use their prior knowledge about a topic and the information they've gleaned in the text so far to make predictions about what might happen next. When teachers demonstrate or model their reading processes for students through think alouds, they often stop and predict what will happen next to show how inferring is essential for comprehending text. Number 4, determining importance. In the sea of words that is any text, readers must continually sort through and prioritise information. Teachers often assist readers in analysing everything from text features in non-fiction text like bullets and headings to verbal cues in novels like strong verbs. Looking for these clues can help readers sift through the relative value of different bits of information in texts. Number 5, creating mental images. Readers are constantly creating mind pictures as they read, visualising action, characters or themes. You may find it useful to use picture books with students of all ages, not necessarily because they're easy to read, but because the illustrations in these books can be a great bridge for helping students see how words and images connect in meaning making. Number 6, repairing understanding when meaning breaks down. Proficient readers don't just plough ahead through the text when it doesn't make sense. They stop and use fix-up strategies to restore their understanding. One of the most important fix-up tools is rereading, with teachers demonstrating to students a variety of ways to reread text in order to repair meaning. This could simply be putting emphasis on a different word in a sentence to give it a different meaning. Number 7, synthesizing information. Synthesis is the most sophisticated of the comprehension strategies, combining elements of connecting, questioning, and inferring. With this strategy, students move from making meaning of the text to integrating their new understanding into their lives and worldview. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this was the first of 2 videos on teaching reading comprehension. The next video will go through how to structure your comprehension lesson to ensure you get maximum engagement from your students. If you have any suggestions on how to get the most out of a comprehension lesson, then please let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the bell to keep hearing more from MyProgression. I've been Natalie, and let's keep your career in motion.